Alright everybody, welcome back. Jesse here for 3Prong Gaming, and in the last episode we went ahead and set this up to where we got this decal to be placed in the world, so it gives an indication of where we're going to be able to place the building inside this resource area. So one thing to keep in mind with decals, and because of the nature of these last couple of videos, I do want to mention too that I'm not going to do an intro. I'm going to save those 10 seconds because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cram all this into this video either. I'll do what I can and still try to explain it well. But one thing to keep in mind with decals is see it flashing on top of the building. Now this won't affect us being able, we're still not going to be able to place a building on top of a building. But you might want to keep that in mind. That's the only issue with using decals is when you place these and turn them on, it's going to be flashing over everything, right? So just something to keep in mind. All right, so let's jump. We're pretty much done in the resource master, I think. I think we got it all covered in here for now. Most of our work for this is going to be done in the ghost building. We've got quite a bit to do in here that we're going to have to, because the ghost building is responsible for, well, our placement, letting us know if we can place a building and setting up all the construction and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we got some work to do in here. So we need to go to, first let's go to the on spawn. We're going to need a new variable here, a new input, and we will call this, let me jump into my cheat sheet here. We need to call this proximity type. Because we're going to have to pass that along here. I need to find my graph. All right, proximity type. And of course it will have to be of proximity type enum. There we go. And let's right click this and let's promote this to a variable. Proximity type. Hit enter. Let's grab it and we'll just drag it. We need to create ourselves some room. Drop in a reroute node since it's all nice and lined up for us already. And let's just kind of drag this back a little bit and we'll set this up here before the is active. I don't think necessarily the placement of it matters as long as it's in the same chain of events right here with all the other sets. Okay. And yeah, fix this up a little bit. All right. So with that, now we're calling, we're setting that. And probably shouldn't have been able to, yeah. What we need to do real quick, we need to go into the building master and we're going to have to set some variables in here. Hopefully I deleted them. I did. Okay. So let's hit variable. Let's create proximity type. Proximity type enum. And we're going to need another one. Let's just go ahead and set this now. We'll call this one resource. Not all the buildings are going to need this, but what this is going to do, this is going to help us out when we do the AI, make it a resource master BP. This is going to help us out when we do our actual AI for it. This is pretty much going to be its place of employment. We're going to want to kind of keep track of this particular resource for the building. Because when we place, what we're going to do is when we place for this example that we have, we got the mine shack set up in the Granite. When we place the mine shack in the Granite resource, it's going to let the mine shack, I'm making this so that a building, like in this case, the mine shack can only work on one resource. So when you place it, it's only going to work on that particular resource. Once that resource is depleted, the mine shack isn't going to, the employees at the mine shack aren't going to do anything else. You'll have to destroy that building, place that's the gameplay mechanic that I'm setting in there. You don't have to do that if that's not a mechanic you want in your game, but that's a mechanic I felt I wanted to do. So that's what I'm doing. That's why the resource is there. So we got that all set up. Compile and save that. I think that's all we're going to need to do in the building master for now. So let's just go ahead and jump back here into the ghost building BP. The main area we're going to have to work in on this is our check overlap function. Right now, it's really basic. All we ever did was get any overlapping actors. If there's more than one, then it's a bad location. But now we're going to have to do quite a few more checks in here. So let's go ahead and disconnect this and disconnect that and just kind of move this out of the way a little bit. Instead of the end node, let's go ahead and drop in a branch here. So if we do have any overlapping actors, or in this case, let's just go ahead and start if we don't have any overlapping actors. Let's pull off this and we need to run another branch right there. And on this branch, let's take our proximity type. Let's get it, drop it in here. and make sure, is it not equal to enum none? Is it not equal to none? In other words, it's set to mining, or it's an actual resource building. So plug this in. If it's false, what we need to do, we can just go ahead and drop in 2 return nodes here. If it's false, meaning it is equal to none, then we want to set bad location of false. So that way it says, oh, okay, well, it can be placed here. It's not a problem. Because we're also going to make it to where you can place an apartment building inside the resource area if you want. Not doing this would prevent you from being able to do this. So go ahead and set this up. And if it is true, if there are no overlapping actors, right, and it is equal to, not equal to none, then we want to set bad location right there. Okay. Now, off the true, let's go ahead and drop in a for each loop. Actually, we want a for each loop with break. So for each loop with break right there. Plug it into the true. And what we need to do now is let's go ahead and pull off the overlapping actors. Let's add in a reroute node. Drop it in here to the array. All right. And from this, pull off the array element. Let's go ahead and cast it to the resource master BP, cast to resource master BP. Plug this on in here into the loop body. And if the cast fails, then what we need to do is let's go ahead and create a local variable, and I didn't delete it. Create a local variable called bad location _ local. This is just going to help us keep track of, so we don't have to run strings everywhere. So let's go ahead and drag this out, and in the cast failed, set it right there, bad location, true. Take off this set, and let's just run it right back in here. We want to break out. So if what we're doing here is if we've got overlapping actors and the overlapping actor is not a resource master, then it's a bad location. Okay. So, but if it does cast to it, let's go ahead and we need to pull off now. We need to get the resource get resource struct. Let's break this out, pull off, and break resource struct. Open this up, and what we need to do now is we need to pull off the proximity type, equal enum. Does it equal the proximity type right here? And we're going to come back and we're going to set this proximity type in a minute, as far as, because right now it's defaulted to none. So we're going to have to pull this out and check it. But if it is equal, we've got a little bit of some branch work to do right here, several different checks to do. So let's go ahead and we'll drop in our branch right now. And so if it's equal to proximity, and we need to set another variable right here. Let's call this one force bad location. We're going to end up having to use this. You'll see after a little while, we're going to have to use this to actually force a bad location. This is due to the collisions on the instant static meshes. The way we're going to end up having to run this is we're going to have to enable it. We're going to have to be able to have a way to force a bad location. So let's pull this out and get it and make sure we are not set. So in other words, we're not forcing. This is false. Okay. Set this now, or grab our proximity type, get it equal enum to none, and not forcing a bad location. Okay. So because we're still going to have to, regardless if it's a mining shaft or an apartment building, we still want to be able to place the building here. So if it's equal to none, in other words, it's not a mining shaft or a farm or anything like that, it's just a regular building, we want to be able to place it inside this, but only if we don't force bad location. Again, this force bad location is going to be used to track when we're overlapping the instant static meshes inside of our resource master. Okay, so plug that into the OR, and then now take this OR and plug it in there into the branch. So that's going to be our check. So if it's false, let's just go ahead and grab our local bad. We need to set this twice, or drop two of them in to be able to set it twice. Take this, set bad location to true, and then just drag this all the way back here into the break, right? Because if we get one bad overlap, if we overlap something we're not supposed to, then we don't want to loop through everything we're overlapping. It's just bad. Let's end the loop. It'll save some processor right there. So that's why we're breaking out of it right there. But if it's true, if all those conditions that we set down there are true, then we want to leave that to false. We don't want a bad location. All right. So then come down here into the completed. Let's drop in a return node. And what we want to return is the bad location local. Just like that. That's what we need for that. Compile it and save it. All right. Well, this still isn't quite going to do anything. So let's go ahead and we need to do set the proximity type now. So if we come back out here to the event graph, on call, we got this set up here when it's on spawn, but we need to go back to the construct building now. Go ahead and pull off the spawn actor. Let's get, what are we getting? Get proximity type. Take that and let's just plug it over here into the on spawn proximity type. Clean it up just a smidge. Compile it and save it. All right, so the last couple things we got to set up before this actually works, before that check overlap works, is now we need to open up the mining shack because we created the variable in the master, building master. So now we need to make sure we go back to, where is it? Industrial mining shack. We need to set its proximity type. Its proximity type is mining. So compile it and save it. And then one last thing we need to do is go back to the resource master here in the placeable area, right? We need to set the collisions on this. Right now it's set to overlap all dynamic, but notice when we created this custom trace channel building, we set its default to ignore. So even when it says overlap all, it's defaulted to ignore. So let's go custom, set this here to overlap, compile it and save it. So now if we jump back out here, and let's just go ahead and save this real fast and press play. If we grab a mining shack, we can't place it out here. As soon as we touch the overlap right there, we can place the building. See, I just clicked it and placed it. We can go to place another one, and all the overlaps are properly working, except even though it looks like the rocks are blocking it, it's actually not. I could set on the rocks. That's just the terrain, it's just it's not doing it because actually it's going to place it on top of the rocks right there because of the collisions. But we don't want any of that. So yeah, it's going to actually place it on top of those rocks. So yep, you can see it jump up right there. That's kind of funny. So we need to fix that. And then we also need to make it to where this will actually only appear, this decal will only appear when we're actually in building mode and we have a building selected that is part of the mining process. Okay, so with that, let's jump into our what's the next thing we get? Oh yeah, let's go ahead and jump back into our ghost building blueprint right there. Sorry, I had to think about that. And jump back into the ghost building. Now we need a couple events to initialize the placement decal. So let's create a new function. Let's call this init proximity for initialize proximity. Drop that in there. We don't need any inputs on this. Drop in a branch. Let's get our proximity type and check to see, is it equal, enum right there, equal to none. All right, so if our proximity is equal to none, then we just want to return, right? We don't want to do anything at all with it. We just want to ignore the proximity, right? But if it's true, then we drop this in here. Now we need to create another function to actually turn this on. So where I did this was back in the game state. So if we open up the game state here, which is back here in the game blueprints, my game state, open that up. And we need to create a couple functions in here. And the first function, let's go ahead and call this one function. Let's do show proximity. For this one, it's going to actually need an input of proximity type. We'll call it proximity type and give it a type of proximity type enum. There we go. Let's just go ahead and right click. Let's set this to a local variable. Call it proximity type underscore maybe local. Okay. So we got that. So off this now, let's go ahead and run a branch. What we need to check here is if we need to check our resources. We're going to need to keep tracking. This is why we're putting this functionality inside of the game state, because game state's going to keep track of our resources that are in the entire world. That way, if we set up some UI functionality or something, we need to get some information on all the resources in the world, then we can set that up pretty easily from within here. So we need to make this of type resource master BP right there, reference. And let's go ahead and make this an array because we're going to have more than one at some point. So set that to an array. And then for this one, let's create another one. It's going to be of the same type, but we'll call this one visible resources, or we'll just call it resource proximity. There we go. And what we're going to do with this is all the ones that we trigger to be visible to show the decal will be held temporarily into this current one, right into this array right there. And it also needs to be an array as well, because we could have more than one that, resource, and most likely that will need a display. So drop in the resources. Let's get it here. Let's check its length to make sure we even have any, right? So is it greater than 0? Okay. Grab that, plug that in there. If it's not, then all we need to do is return nothing. We're done. We don't have any resources, so there's nothing to do in this. So if there is, let's go ahead and grab our resources and let's do a loop, just a regular old for each loop. We don't need the break on this one. Plug it in here. And so what we need to do with this now is we need to get our resource struct. So pull off this and do resource struct. Get resource struct. Let's go ahead and break this out. Break the resource struct. And what we need off of this is the proximity type. So pull out equal. Does it equal the proximity type local? Let's create a local variable. Let's call it, I've already got it. I forgot to delete it. My bad. Like I said, I've recorded this once already, so a couple things are still here. So create a local variable called proximity type local. Let's take it and drag it in here. Does it equal our proximity type local? Right. Press B. And, oh yeah, no, we created it right there. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm just brain farting it. So drop that into the branch. Does it equal our proximity type? And if it does, meaning that they're compatible, so our mining shack, like we said here, its proximity type is mining, and our Granite's proximity type, if we were to open that up in the data table, open this up, its proximity type is also mining. So if those two things match back here in the game state, where is it? There it is. So if those two match up, then what do we need to do? Well, we need to be able to enable that decal. So let's pull off of this resource array right here off the for each loop. Let's get the good placement decal right there. Let's get it. Drag that out here a little ways. And what we need to do is just pull this out and do toggle visibility. Okay. Plug that into the true. Okay, now we need to go ahead and pull this out. Let's run a reroute node right there. And what we need to do now is let's go ahead and set this to the visible resource proximity array right here. Do an add unique, and we will add this particular one to that array. Okay. And I'll come back and clean this up another time unless I get hooked on it right here. Okay, so we got that all hooked up and nothing off the false because we're inside a loop, so we don't want to do anything off the false in here. And then when this loop is done, pull off this and just return. There we go. So everything runs through with this, so we can go ahead and initialize this now. And we're going to need another one. Let's just go ahead and finish out the functionality. Let's do hide proximity. We're not going to set up the functionality quite for this yet. This should be relatively easy to do, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and finish out this functionality in here in the init proximity. So with this, let's pull off our game state. And actually, we don't have a game state here in the ghost building. Surprisingly enough, to this point, we still haven't created a begin play. So let's do a event begin play. And we need to get game state. There it is. and cast it to my game state or whatever your custom name is. Plug this in and right click it and promote to variable, game state ref. And of course, I've already got one. I forgot to delete it. So let's just go ahead after you create the variable. Yes, I want to delete it. Insert it into your references right here. And let's just set it right there. All right. So we got that. You really should probably run. This is a begin play. So it's only going to run one because ghost building is persistent. So in the world, that's the way we designed it. So you should run an it is valid. Make sure this variable isn't valid beforehand. It should be all right. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So with that compiled and saved, come back in here now. Let's grab our game state reference. Let's get it. Pull off this. Do show proximity. Take the proximity type, plug it into there. That's what we're checking. Plug it into true. And then off of this, just do return. And that's it. So we want to run that functionality to make sure that that resource, all the resources are visible. So now we need to create one more in here. We will call this another function. Let's call this one deinit proximity, deinitialize the proximity. And, well, it's pretty much going to do the exact same thing we did, but in reverse is, and actually it's not even going to be reverse. We're just going to take all this. Actually, no. It is going to be slightly different. Not much. Slightly different. Let's pull this out. Instead of checking equal, equal, we need to do not equal to enum. If it's not equal to none, then we need to run a branch. Plug this in right here and get our game state, and let's hide proximity. And we're going to go back in there. We don't need, there's no inputs or anything for it. So, because we're just going to go through that visible proximity array, resource proximity array that we created and shut them off is all we're going to do in there. So we don't need to do anything else for that. So return. And drop in a second one and plug just the return right into the false. That's all we got for that one. So let's compile it and save. Let's go ahead and finish out. Oh, we haven't compiled it yet. So let's go to my game state. Let's just compile it. Now that error should be removed. And told me right there what the error was. So compile it and save it. Everything came out fine now. So back into my game state. Let's go ahead and do the hide proximity. And for this one, we're just going to take the visible resource proximity. Drag it out. Let's do a for each. No break, just regular for each. And then for each one of those, we want to get the good placement decal. Let's get it. And toggle visibility. Toggle visibility. There we go. Hook that into the loop body. And then after that, all we need to do is come down here after it's gone through everything inside that array. Let's drop this in here and do clear. We want to totally clear out this array now. So clear it out and plug that right there into that and return. Cool. Compile it and save it. Now, one thing we need to make sure we do is go back into the resource master on our good placement decal, and we need to set the visibility to false. We don't want it visible. So that means you're not going to see it in the editor when you're looking at it, or when we're doing the building in the world, which is fine. See, right there, we won't be able to see it. So let's just go ahead and save this, and let's go ahead and test it out. And I can tell you already that this isn't going to work, but let's go ahead and push play. It's not going to show here, and the reason for that is because we never set the resources here. So let's jump back into my game state. We need to create another function here. And we need to call this, let's see, function. We need to actually add, we need to populate this resources list right here. So let's do, we'll call this add resource. And since these are being added, or since we're putting the resources in the world before game ever starts, we're gonna have to call this in the resource master when it begins play. So what we need to do here is just add a new input, call this resource, type resource master BP. Okay, and then with that, we need to pull off of here and do an add unique Plug resource in right there, and that's it. Let's go ahead and return. Hook it in. So now we need to come back in here. Let's compile it and save it so that way we know about it. Go into the resource master, and in the event graph, we actually get to go in the event graph now. In the begin play, let's do a new variable, right? We don't have any references in here. New variable, call it game state ref of type game state, my game state reference. Okay, and let's put it in the category references. Cool, now pull this out. Let's just double check here. Is valid, question mark. Always good to run the check. Probably should have did it back there in the building, or in the ghost building as well, but yeah, I'm not. If it's not valid, then we need to get game state. There it is, get game state, cast it to my game state, and then let's just go ahead and set this right like so. Right, and then when it's done, after it sets it, let's do my game state, just pull off of here like so, and do add resource. If you don't see that there, make sure you go back and you compile your game state after we made the function there, and then make sure you hook in the is valid too, because if it is valid, it shouldn't be at the begin play, so not a big deal. It should never actually execute, but just in case, right? You know, always best to cover your tail. And then for the resource, we just type self and plug that in like so. There we go. Now with that, that should, cross your fingers, work. Save it here, press play. Can't see it. We hit mining shack, and it doesn't show, but you can see that it's actually not letting us build a building in there, so that's good. Now, why isn't that showing? It's not showing because we didn't initialize it. Right here, back in the ghost building BP, we created the functions init proximity and dinit proximity. We didn't actually initialize or deinitialize those, so we need to go back into the event graph here, right? And when we need to do it is when we construct the building, right? So we come in here and not construct it. Where did I put those? In the kill ghost and on the on spawn. In the on spawn here, after we set the proximity type, let's just go ahead and drag this back a little bit. Grab our initialize proximity, init proximity, plug it in right in here. And as soon as it sets the proximity type, it'll set the init proximity. And then to shut it off is here in the kill ghost. We need to go, we'll just go right here after is active. We'll put in dinit, plug it in, and there we go. Now, cross our fingers, right? I say that. This is the third time I said that. Let's go ahead and click mining shaft, and again, it's still not working. You know, I would expect these kind of issues in a live stream, but boy, oh boy. All right, right here. In the init proximity, we have it equal to none. So if we came back out here actually and press play the way it was before, we push construction office, and really it should be showing that right there, but it's not because it's not a resource, so it's not showing it. If we come out here back into the ghost building, this needs to be deleted. It needs to be not equal to none. Plug this in, compile it and save it, come back out here, hit play, mining shaft, there we go. Now we got it showing. Sweet. Yeah, I'd expect this stuff in a live stream, and as soon as it touches it, we can go ahead and build. We still have the collision issue right here. That's pretty easy to fix. Let's go ahead and set that now, and I think that might actually, if we set that, we should be golden. So, and then we right click to kill the ghost, and it goes away. Click it, it comes back, we place the building, it goes away. We click construction office, it's not going to do it, but we can still place it inside the zone here. Apartment, same thing, because they're set to none. We can place it in here, but the mining shaft, we cannot place it outside of here. It is a bad location. Okay, so cool. That's all working now. So let's go ahead and do the collisions really fast. Let's jump into Resource Master. Yeah, that's where it's going to be, is the Resource Master. We need to come out into the event graph. Where is it here? And we need to do some overlapping. This is how we're going to handle this, is actual hard-coded overlapping. We're not going to worry about doing that. So that's why you need to make sure your collisions are set here properly to overlap. It needs to overlap buildings, blah, blah, blah. So with this, instance mesh resource selected, resources mesh selected, come down here, and on component begin overlap, hit the plus, and on this, off the other actor, let's cast it to ghost building BP. So, because this is all we care about, is it being, because we don't want this to trigger anything if, you know, anything else, or if a NPC overlaps it, or your mouse cursor overlaps or something. All we care about is the ghost building. Okay. And if it does cast to the ghost building, then what we need to do is off the ghost building, do force bad locations. We want to set it to true. All right, and that's why we created that variable earlier. And then with the instance resource mesh selected, come down, back down here, and now on end overlap, select that again. Let's just go ahead and copy this, Control W, hook that up, the object to the other actor, and we want to set this to true, or to false rather. We want to untick that. So that way it clears it back out. When the mesh leaves that, it takes care of it for us and resets the bad location. All right, I think there's only just a few more things that need to be done. So I think we can go ahead and wrap this up into this video. I shouldn't have to make a third one for this. Wipe the sweat from my brow. So I know we're a little bit up on time right now, but yeah, it shouldn't be too bad to finish this up. Let's jump back into the building master really quick. On that resource variable that we created, we need to make this editable, and we need to also expose it on spawn. All right, go ahead and compile and save that. All right, I don't think we'll be needing that again. Jump back into the resources blueprint. So what we need to do now is on the placeable area, we need to do an on begin overlap here. And we also need to select it again. Let's just drop in the end overlap as well. So on the begin overlap, what we need to do is we need to cast this again to ghost building BP. And let's just drop in another one right here. And on this, what we need to do is hook up the other actor. What we need to do is we need to go into the ghost building, compile that, jump into the ghost building. We need to create two more functions here. They're really simple functions. Create this one. We'll call this set resource. This is going to help us out for the AI to help kind of keep track of the resource. Like I said, when we place the building inside, the mechanic I'm setting up is when we place the building inside the placeable area and set it down, we want that building to know that this is the resource that it is only going to work. It's not going to work any other resource in the world, even if it's the same type and it's a mining company and there's another granite over here. It's never going to go work this other granite. It's going to work this one and this one only. Okay, that's the mechanic I'm setting up. Like I said before, if that's not what you want, then you don't have to do this entire feature, but this is just the way I'm going with it. This is kind of the gameplay I want. So on this, we need an input. We'll call this resource. And of course, it needs to be of type resource master BP. Select that. And then from there, let's create another variable in here. We're inside the ghost building blueprint. We'll call this one resource set, or you can call it resource to set. We'll call it resource to set, I guess. No, because that's not what I named my other one. Resource set. However you want to name it. Resource master BP is what it needs to be. So then we take this, pull this out, set it. It's going to be right here. Take this resource, plug it in right there, and that's it. Let's just go ahead and return that. Done with that function. Compile it and save it. One more function. We'll call this one clear resource. And no inputs on this. We just take our resource set variable that we just made, drag that in, and this will clear it out for us. And then return. That's it. All right. This is all kind of part of OPP. I mean, we could set this manually by hand if we wanted to with each call. But yeah, you kind of want this to, since the variable's on the Ghost Master, we want it to set its own variable. So that's why you set setters, getters, things like that. In this case, a setter and a clear. So off of these, when we overlap the placeable area, we want to set resource. All right, so we set it, and what we want to set it with is our self, because we're in the resource. I'm pointing at my screen. We want to set it, we're in the resource master, so we want to set it to itself. And if it, as soon as it leaves the overlap area, we want to go ahead and clear that out. So clear resource, drop that in. That's all we got to do. All right, so now there's a few other minor things we got to do. We need to jump into our construction manager. So let's jump back out here. We're also going to need our player controller as well. So let's go construction. We need the construction manager. Let's open that up and then jump out here. Let's might as well just grab our, where did we put it here? There it is. It's in the blueprints. So go ahead and grab camera pawn controller. That probably should be in the game BPs, but it's not. So it's just there to confuse me. All right. So we're going to need both of those. So let's jump into the construction manager really quick. And in the finish construction, select that. You see now, since we exposed that variable on spawn, what we need to do, oh yes, that's the other thing we need to do. Come back out here, open up the struct, go into the construction struct, and add a new variable. This will be called resource master BP. Okay, save that. So we jump back into the construction manager. So now in this we have the config, take the resource, plug it into there. So now when we spawn the building, it's going to take the resource from this struct and put it in there. But now we've got to set this struct. So let's compile and save that. That's all we got to do in here. So jump into the camera pawn controller, and I moved it off my screen. Jump into the camera pawn controller, and on, where are we? We're up here in the button events under get construction struct. We double click that, and actually this takes us back to the ghost building. It's just easier for me mentally to think of where we're putting that. All right, and now we take the building set that we put, and then we just take this and we plug it straight into there like that. So now the resource set will go right in there. So yeah, when we call resource set resource right here, it'll set that. And when we place the building, it'll actually go, because that's why we go to the camera pawn controllers, because it pulls that when we click to actually place the building, it gets all this information into the struct for us. So yeah, right there. Perfect. Compile and save it. And that, as I'm looking over my notes, that should be it. Yeah, that should be it. So I think all we have left now is to really do the AI. I kind of started on the other day. I'm still a little confused on how I'm going to handle the actual mining of it. I think I've got an idea of it. I just need to sit down and play with it. But like I said, I kind of started working on that the last 2 days. But yeah, I haven't quite had the time to sit down and do it. So hopefully this weekend, I've got an empty house, so nobody's here, so I can do whatever I want. So I think I might just start working on that. We'll see how that goes. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys found this useful. If you did, please do me a favor, go down and hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. If you're new to the channel, subscribe while you're down there liking it. And until next time, peace.